home inspections can really make or break a deal. What do you think are some things that every seller should definitely know about home inspections?
Wow, that's a good one. Yeah, I agree with the statement. I think it's a real point at which a deal is, let's step back for a second. You got an offer accepted, right? There's an excitement at that particular moment. If you've ever bought anything, I think you probably could relate to this. Anything big like a house, you're really in the moment, you're excited, you put a deposit down, you move through the process. In our case, we follow that up many times with an inspection, right? The buyer can go either way in that phase. Their excitement can teeter off, or their excitement could potentially build.
Yeah.
They can start to think more about moving the house. They've worked so hard to find it, how it matches, how it's perfect. And unfortunately, some buyers can also start to get scared about the commitment that they're making. Is this going to be right? They start questioning it in their head. That often happens in and around the inspection time. And unfortunately, what that means is the inspection can amplify that. So if they're concerned, it ends up being in many cases a reason.
Yeah, their excuse, their way out.
Yeah.
If they don't want it.
In that case, they're looking for it. And I would say for that kind of buyer, it's really unfortunate, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not saying we wouldn't work with that person.
Yeah.
But I'm not really sure if you're actually fighting logic or you know what I mean, working against logic.
Yeah.
Or you're working against emotion, and you're probably working against emotion. And so here you're trying to address what is really not the symptom. Here you're not addressing what the real cause of that particular
What do you mean by
issue.
that? Sorry.
So the cause is the buyer's cold feet. In other words, they're objecting to something in the inspection, but they're not really.
I see.
They're getting cold feet.
Yeah.
And they're using the inspection as the reason
to back out and have a quote unquote valid reason.
Yeah.
But really they want it out anyway.
Yeah. In my experience, a buyer who is going to move forward with the transaction and who isn't feeling lots of uncertainty, it's sort of normal to have a little bit, but obviously that needs to be tempered, or their reality they need to step back and look and go, I've looked really hard and long for this particular house. You didn't look online at 150 houses to go see 15 of them to choose to buy this one.
Yeah.
It's a very good one. It's sifted its way through, you know what I mean? But there's still it's a commitment.
Yeah.
You're making a commitment. You might be moving from another part. Yeah.
For many people, probably the biggest purchase they've made in their life.
Yeah. And it's also a big life shift. It's a big transition for a lot of people. And so I think the key to know from a seller standpoint is oftentimes the inspection or something negative on the inspection is often something that pushes that buyer in the direction. It sounds like they're objecting to the thing in the inspection, but they might not be. We don't really know that at that point in time. And so we have to deal with it from a perspective of, okay, let's be reasonable here. Here are some issues that you found. Maybe there are some reasons why your inspector was mistaken. Mm-hmm. So we definitely want to provide those things, but you want to be careful because you don't want to make it like their inspector is incompetent.
Yes.
Because even if they were, they don't know that. You're dealing with it with kid gloves because you know that this person might be teetering and you want to try to, pull them back in. Now you're really just trying to maybe get more realistic with them. Settle them down to what is the real problem.
Yeah. And
through talking to the agent, start to, quite frankly, I'm normally doing a questioning process where I'm really trying to get down to the real issue. Yeah. So I know. And I've many times called an agent out and I told her, it sounds to me like your buyer's getting cold feet.
Yeah.
Because if the real issue is X, Y, and Z, we can address those.
Yeah.
But I'm getting the sense that addressing those isn't going to really fix this particular problem.
And that's when you know.
We want to know, and we want to know soon, because as much as it's frustrating to have that particular situation happen, it's a reality of what we deal with.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, and if this buyer really isn't going to come to terms and isn't going to sign the contract, then we better just move on.
Yeah.
That would be my philosophy. Let's just march forward and find another buyer.
100%.
If you like this video, YouTube thinks you'll like one of these.